You guys asked for it, and we're happy to oblige. Winter Wolf's Den is going to be talking about two of the B team efforts from 90s slashers. We're doing it for you guys right now. Hey guys, welcome back to Winter Wolf's Den. Winter Wolf here. King Z fading into the screen over there. We're going with two more movies from back in the day, from the 1990s. That's before 2000 for you youngins. We're going to talk B teams because for the both of us, we kind of agreed. Back in the 90s, there was Scream and then there was literally everybody else. But the two closest competitors to the top, to taking the crown from Scream, not that they ever really got close to taking the crown, Urban Legend and I Know What You Did Last Summer. They came out in short order after Scream. They both spawned a couple of sequels that got increasingly stupid. King Z, did you even know that each of these movies had a second sequel? They each went 3 parts?
I did know that Urban Legend had 1 sequel, and I Know What You Did Last Summer had 2 sequels. I know one went straight to DVD. That's when it doesn't go to streaming. It goes to a hard media copy thing for...
It was a metal disc. It spins real fast, and a laser reads it for you also youngins. But no, dude, actually, both of these franchises went 3 movies deep, right? And ironically, the third movie in each veers away from the original story almost completely except for a mention and gets more involved in some kind of crappy supernatural aspect. They go way off the rails into that kind of thing. Urban Legends, what was Urban Legend 3? Was it called Urban Legends Bloody Mary? I'll put the box up here.
Yep. I did read that one. Yep, I did read about that one.
And it was completely unrelated. I think they mentioned the killing on campus briefly, and then with I Know What You Did Last Summer was called I'll Always Know.
Yeah, I'll always know
what you did last summer.
Yeah.
Also garbage, also kind of supernatural.
And none of the returning cast.
Oh, zero, dude. Bloop, zero, nada. Like for either of these movies. We did Urban Legend first. I just wanted to get your feel for it real quick. Just quick impression before you jump into the meta stuff that you usually pick up to clue people into the technicals. What did you think of the movie overall? Because right before we started, I think you broke down my exact sentiment on it. So why don't you tell the people what we were kind of going with for Urban Legend 1998?
Yep, 1998 was Urban Legend, which came out 2 years after Scream. And I just want to bring this point up first before we get started, is that in our review of Scream, we talked about like how it revitalized the whole horror franchise because it was getting really stale there towards the mid-90s. And then Scream came in and kind of wrote that love letter to the slashers and the horrors of the 70s and 80s, which brought these, without Scream, I believe these two films never would have happened.
Oh, no, zero chance, dude. Zero chance. I mean, the same guy wrote Scream, went ahead and wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yep.
Kevin Williamson, right.
So my first impression, it was like, I held Urban Legend as a movie in high regard. I thought it was a good movie until I rewatched it here, 20 some odd years later. And it's like, it didn't hold up.
I think I agree. I think there's a great point you just made about, what you said in the Scream video, that it reinvigorated the genre. The genre was getting flat. By the time you and I were kind of in junior high, that's what we used to call middle school for you guys. Dude, we're doing a lot of anti-youngin jokes
We
here.
are.
I apologize. I know, right? And I apologize, guys, because we love you guys. We love our younger viewers. So you guys are cool. But we were in that 7th, 8th, 9th grade range. Horror was getting a little off the rails. We were getting entries like, Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell. We were getting stupid movies like Hellraiser in Space. I think it was Hellraiser Bloodlines. There was a lot of really stupid shit coming out in horror right around
Jason
then.
X, Jason went to space.
Jason X was right early 2000s was Jason X, a little bit after that. But yeah, dude, Halloween had Busta Rhymes and like Halloween Part 8, with a line that actually says...
Treat. Motherfucker.
So yeah, dude, horror was in a rough spot, man. So then here comes Scream. Here comes Scream in 97, and it did all the great stuff, and you guys go back and check our review on that. We just had a long chat about that. Go check that out. But then it spawned the clones, you know what I mean? It did have its offshoots. And Urban Legend, for me, like you just said, it wanted to be Scream so bad. It had pretty people in all the leading positions. It had some popular stars, like we were just talking about backstage. It had Tara Reid. It had, was it Jeremy Jackson or Josh Jackson that played Percy on Dawson's Creek?
Joshua Johnson.
Josh Johnson, who was also on Fringe, I believe, back in the day.
Fringe. He was also in Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, clearly, yeah, definitely in Mighty Ducks. It had quintessential 90s babe, Rebecca Gayheart. Everybody loved the Noxzema girl in the 90s. She was absolutely gorgeous, even after she killed that kid. Total disclosure there. Yeah, I guess we had to point that out. But yeah, it wanted to be a Scream clone, but I think outside of, and I'll give it this, the initial idea, pretty slick. Yep. I don't mind, the gimmick isn't bad. It's played on well. And then it kind of works itself out. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the plot, about how it wasn't just a serial killer that took on the motif of urban legends just cause. Like, there was an actual reason that the killer adopted that identity and that methodology.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it worked on that level. Are you on board with that? Are you agreeing with we'll call it a gimmick for lack of a better word, but yeah. I thought that was kind of cool.
And that's one of the things that these horror franchise tried to do after Scream was grab that gimmick that would bring you in.
Yep.
The movie we're going to talk about a little bit later is like 1 year later. There's a huge time hop in it. Most slasher films are very spree, and that one actually had a huge time hop in it. And then urban legend, of course, is playing off the urban legends, folklores of our time, actually, like modern time.
Oh, yeah, it's 60s, 70s, 80s. Oh, yeah. No, that's when all those things, all those stories grew into prominence. But I like the gimmick here. I like the gimmick, like you said, and I know what you did last summer also, because it's a totally different thing. It's about protecting they made a promise. Like the cast in that movie did something stupid, did something bad, then they had to like take the secret to their grave kind of thing. But it came back to bite them in the ass. So completely different than urban legend, completely different than Scream. But interchangeably, we could have taken all of the casts from all three of these things and shuffled them. We could have just, because they basically all played the same group of kids. Not mirror perfect, but pretty close.
Well, I mean, you have to look at these films as well. All three of them had a batch of actors that it pretty much launched. Like they had Neve Campbell that started her stardom rise. Matthew Lillard and his discount Johnny Depp.
Skeet Ulrich,
it launched a lot of careers. I mean, Courtney Cox kind of got untypecast, so she could be in other stuff.
We could throw that into I Know What You Did Last Summer as well, because that had Jennifer Love Hewitt, also of Party of Five.
Yep.
Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was probably, by the time this came out, Buffy had already finished its run.
No, Buffy was still hot and heavy.
Was it still on?
Yep, Buffy was still going hot and heavy.
98, it would have been.
And this was Freddie Prinze Jr.'s first actual feature film, because he was just a straight TV guy at the time. Yeah, so like
that makes sense because he was the worst of those four, but we'll get to that we'll get to that when we get to I Know You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, so like all three of these movies had their batch of people that launched what became the go-to people for the 2000s.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure.
I mean, you have Jared Leto in this one as well. You didn't bring him up. Jared Leto was in Urban Legend.
Yeah, totally spaced on that.
Which totally shocked me. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I know that guy, and I looked him up, and of course it had the Jared Leto at the Academy Award pictures where he like dressed like Jesus.
Oh yeah,
with the long hair.
He grew up all right. He grew up all right.
Yeah.
He grew up and started a cult or some shit over there. I think it was in Hawaii or whatever he did. Vermont, I don't know. I think he did, or it's in Croatia or some shit. But dude, urban legend, interesting premise. We're killing people based on urban legends, and because this is 30 years old, we're gonna spoil the hell out of it anyway, and just shoot the shit over it. So, it did a couple of nifty things with its storyline here. Just gimmick aside, when they reveal the killer at the end, I'm guessing it probably did catch most people off guard, because the trope it inverted was that the killer wasn't one of the final girls. The killer was one of the final girls. It was Rebecca Gayheart.
Yep.
So probably nobody saw that coming, because we'd had that string of movies, Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, where it was the guys. You know what I mean?
Yep. And of
typically
course,
the killers in these movies are dudes.
Yeah, Jason, Freddy, Mike Myers,
Chucky, all of them.
Yep.
Right. And then the double subversion here, and I hate that word in movies. Thank you, Ryan Johnson, TLJ. She was working alone.
Yep.
But we'd been conditioned at this point, I think, by Scream, because it was so popular and it integrated into the zeitgeist so fast that when Jared Leto's character shows up at the end and he's looking like he's about to go along with the plan and kill the real final girl, and then that there's going to be a double, triple twist or something. I forgot about that part, because when I was doing up my notes before I watched it, I was like, oh wait, who was the second killer in that? So I fell into the trap even having seen it. Like, I forgot. And then Rebecca Gayheart, very smartly, she looks like she's going to buy it. And then she's like, you're cute, but you're not that cute. You know, which one of you gets shot first?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they tinkered with some stuff, and it's too bad because the premise was so cool. And the ending, like that part of the ending was also so cool that it kind of bummed me out that a lot of the stuff in the middle, and this is what I want your take on next, I thought it was kind of underwhelming. I'm not even talking about quality of writing or story progression, but like the themology of using urban legends as the methods of death for these kids, they were kind of lame. Like going back to watch them, I thought most of them were kind of lame. The one that always gets me is the roommate with, you know, aren't you glad you left the light off kind of thing. That one will always get me because of the wrist issue that I have and this and that. But like the other ones, I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of bloodless, and this is more of an aftermath thing, and this one's killed off screen. And what did you think of the kills altogether? That's what I want your main take on here.
So I like using the urban legend premise. Was a great idea. How they executed it, like the opening kill that started the whole thing, I thought was brilliantly done. Yep. Especially having the gas station attendant with the stutter and everything like
Brilliant.
that. Because then you think that he's the perpetrator, and then as she's driving away, he like the adrenaline of it all finally like helped him break his stutter for a minute. Like, there's someone in the back seat, and I mean,
dude, let me stop you on that one real quick just to agree, right? And I'll let you talk about the other ones. The opening segment to Urban Legend is better than the opening segment to I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes, definitely.
Far and away.
Yep.
Because it was closer to Scream doing that whole setup of like, well, I didn't think the girl driving the car in this was, you know, going to be the final girl or anything like that. I kind of had a feeling she was dispensable. But that segment, like you said, because they played with you. They put you at the creepy gas station and the girl's all nutty and he's trying to help her. He kind of tricks her to come inside. But he can't tell her.
Yep.
So when she's inside trying to use the phone to call the credit company back, yada, 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 she pepper sprays this poor bastard, right? And then runs back in the car to her death. And as the music's rising and the score's rising, like you said, he breaks the stairs like, someone in the back seat. And you're like, motherfucker, because they cut right back into the car and she's still talking, singing her bullshit. And you see the axe rise up in the rear view and you're like, oh, come on.
Now
don't judge him.
Now, when you go with the kill of it, it was lackluster because they swing the axe, but then somehow the axe, like when they do the cut to the outside, the axe changes angles to pop through the glass with no blood on it.
Right. So he killed it with the axe handle to the nose or something, given I don't know how that would have worked.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you could swing an axe in a car too. I mean, it's maybe you get a full swing, maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe a hatchet might have been better there. I don't know. But the opening segment was a banger. But what did you think of the other, the ordering of the victims and their relative deaths and things like that? Okay. What did you think of that all?
So
I think Pacey's the first official victim. I think.
Pacey was the first.
I called him. You know who I mean?
Yeah,
Pacey,
Joshua
right?
Johnson. His character name in this is
Damon.
Yeah, Damon. Yeah, he was the first one, and they did the old where you hear the scratching on the thing, and he's being hung by the there's
scratching on the car roof.
There's so many different tellings of this story, and they actually hammer that out in the next movie we're going to talk about. They talked about this scene, which might have launched Urban Legend. Actually, was from that scene in I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yep.
But they did it where he went out to use the bathroom because he was trying to make a move on her because she was feeling bad about who was killed because she actually had a tie to the first victim.
Yep.
And then she hears this banging on the top of the car, and then she takes off, and then the rope is attached to the back of the car, which hung him.
Right.
And then she reversed it and ran into the tree, and then the body fell and hit the car.
Yeah, I thought that was probably, of all of them, that was probably the best, just because it had several levels of ridiculosity to it that it made it kind of funny. Just the other urban legend deaths in quickness, just because we're gonna try and keep this one kind of with a little bit of brevity tonight, guys. They do a rip on the "Aren't you glad you left the lights off" kill, which is the roommate comes home and the other roommates getting railed by her boyfriend, and because they had already had that uncomfortable exchange once. On the second pass, when she hears the moaning, she actually leaves the light off and goes to sleep. She puts her headphones on, and then fast forward the next day, she wakes up, roommate's dead, cut up, whatever. Yeah. And then there's blood smeared on the wall, and she's glad you left the light on. We get the girl calling over the radio station. That was another one where she's killed live on air.
Yeah, she's like, you also have the baby aspirin as birth control at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah,
that's an old urban legend. There's a lot of actual urban legends that they do. They do the Bloody Mary thing at the old campus,
which I thought was stupid. Like, who does Bloody Mary not in a mirror?
It's supposed to be in a mirror in a bathroom.
Right. I thought that was kind of dumb. They did the Pop Rocks,
and the soda
twice
to
because then at the end, what's his face gets it with the Pop Rocks and the Drano.
Yeah.
So they did a little modified play on that.
After he mites the dog. So
which was really disgusting.
Yeah, drying the dog in the microwave one.
Yeah.
And then of course the one that kicked it all off, that started the whole cycle of violence.
Yeah, was the pre-inciting incident. Yeah.
Yeah, the headlights. Like a car's driving with no headlights, you flash them to let them know their headlights are off. They spin around and then they supposedly kill you because it's a gang initiation. Yep. So they had that
and
one.
I remember that one growing up too. I do. Like, that's legit. Like,
yeah, I remember that one too.
That's a story I absolutely heard growing up. So those are all in there. But just to talk more about him, like the Tara Reid character dies off screen.
Yeah.
Right. She gets axed, but she's hiding at a low cut wall with a window at the radio station, and what's her name's looking up from a lower level. So you don't really get anything out of that one. The hanging one's kind of gnarly. The roommate one, you see the scuffle, but you don't see any cutting or anything weird with that.
Of course, the
Drano one's kind of gross.
Yeah, that one was
he was just
graphic.
spitting up drain. He was just spitting up Pop Rocks, and it wasn't like he was spitting up a butt ton of blood or anything like that. Nothing like liquefied, like a Saw movie would have had a field day with that kill. Yeah, believe that. You know what I mean? And this was rated R, so I mean you could see how things have changed over time.
And then the ankle slice, that one always gets me. I always hate the always hate the cut in the Achilles.
Dude, there's 3 movies that I gotta look away most of the time when they happen. I don't even want to talk of them. But that wasn't even the kill. That poor bastard got run over by his car and got his chest pushed down on the spike strips. Right. So that was pretty effed
Which that could have been averted if he just crawled to the left or crawled to the right and not crawled straight.
Dude, or shouted for the security guard who could have only been about 10 feet away by the time that happened.
Yeah.
Like all he needs to do is shout Reese, and he lives.
It's like,
because she didn't get in the car and drive away. She was right there in a garage.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So this is a thing in like most horror movies and even fantasy movies. If you learn Serpine, you have a better chance of living. Zigzag, left, right,
dude,
dodge.
Warzone 101.
I mean,
Warzone 101, bro.
Ask Regan. Reach didn't start about that one. Running straight. What he did? An arrow in the back.
Saying
just sideways. Come on.
It's
a very simple concept.
Whether you're talking about Game of Thrones or you're talking about Prometheus and a spaceship falling on you because you don't know how to run 5 degrees to the right or take a hard turn. You know what I mean? Just people. Public service announcement from Winter Wolf's Den. If something's trying to kill you and it's pursuing you, get your serpentine on.
Serpentine.
Just, give it the zigzag.
Serpentine.
Give it the zigzag. But yeah, so that poor bastard could have lived. Let's talk about the crap ending of this movie though. Because I thought, it was doing okay. I knew it wasn't as good as I remembered. But then the ending completely falls apart. It needs like 9 contrivances to happen to get everybody in the same place. People that get it, like when they reveal Rebecca Gayheart as the killer, somehow she gets to the tower ahead of the final girl. She's already stashed bodies there, undetected. In a well lit by day environment that like people walk by all the time. Like it's not in some out of the way backwoods part of campus. It was just it was just all too stupid to me by that point. And I'm like, so Rebecca Gayheart weighs 105 pounds. This building's boarded up. We had to watch the final girl climb the outside of the building like Prince of Persia in the rain to get up there to finish this movie. And we're to believe that what? Rebecca Gayheart like constructed some elaborate system of like pulleys or some shit and like did this without being detected with her engineering degree.
In one weekend.
Dude, not even a weekend. It was like she had a day. She legit had a day to pull this off. She could have put Damon's body there early, but remember, she also had Drano dude's body up there.
Yep.
And she had 3, didn't she? Or was it just those 2? I think it was just those 2.
No,
no, gas station guy. No, they took gas station guy into custody.
No, they
arrested him.
They had the Tara Reid. They had Josh Johnson.
Oh, Tara, yeah.
And then they had
and Drano guy.
Parker.
No, I call him Drano guy because I forgot it was Parker. Dude, which, and as an aside, because I'll use this to connect to the next movie we're going to watch and that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Dude, do you remember everybody in these movies in the 90s just being an unrelenting dickhead to everybody else?
Yeah.
Like even their so-called friends? Dude, in Scream, they had a little back and forth, kind of. They kind of picked on Randy a little. Not Randy, they picked on Stu a little bit.
Yeah.
But they more or less weren't dickweeds to each other the whole time. They were unrelenting dickweeds in this movie
to each other,
between Paul and Parker, and Damon and Parker. I think were like bros. They were like frat bros. They might have been in the same house. They might have been a little bit better off. And then Ryan Phillippe, and I know what you did last time. I forget it. That somebody should have locked that dude up. Like that dude choked Jennifer Love Hewitt in front of her boyfriend, and he did nothing.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, dude, a-holes in this movie. Like when they died, I was like, okay. No, don't care. I don't like any of you. Die.
We've told you about the bad. Now I'm going to tell you about the good. Yep. Rebecca Greyhart's performance when she becomes Psycho Girl is off the chain. Like that is how you snap and become Psycho.
Dude, that smile after she punches, like when she sits up Undertaker style, right from the bed, and then just punches. Was it Natalie? Nancy's friend, Nightmare on Elm Street. When she punches the dude. That chick is super sexy when she's Psycho, and I hate that I like that, but good God, was she hot. And then she does ham it up a little bit in the middle of that after the reveal, and I felt like the reveal went on a little too long. Like there was like 8 minutes of her just explaining shit, and I'm like,
but
you could cut a few minutes here.
It was masterful, like to be that crazy and put off that performance. I mean, it was I really enjoyed the performance of like how she played the Psycho Girl.
Did she have any real notoriety as being an actress in the 90s? Or she was the Noxzema girl. Like she was in commercials because she was really pretty. Yeah. She had the blue eyes, you know what I mean? She did the face wash thing. But like she wasn't a serious dramatic actress before Noxzema or after this movie, right? Like she was just kind of a personality, like celebrity for being a celebrity, like afterwards.
Yeah. Let's see. Beforehand, she was like Earth 2, Beverly Hills 90210. She was in a couple episodes of that. She was in Sliders.
That's what I mean.
But she
a couple episodes.
But this was the movie that pretty much launched her before the accident that kind of derailed her, and like she's still reeling from herself, like mentally.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, dude, the performance was solid. I'll give you that. And within the exposition, even though it was a little long, it did make sense. And she goes through the reveal and she tells this idiot main girl, you and your dickhead friend played an urban legend prank on my would have been fiance and got him killed for nothing.
Yep.
He flipped his lights on to tell you, your lights are off. He didn't do anything to you, and you robbed me of him. So I'm taking everybody close from you via these urban legends because you used an urban legend to kill him, and you could have done something. It was your car. You could have stopped your friend. That's why I started with her, but I still got the grudge. Yeah, all that good stuff. So at least for all the crap in the middle of the movie, it did make sense. It wasn't just some arbitrary weirdo MO thing for a serial killer. Like she snapped and like used something awful that happened to her to lash back out. So that resonates. That works for me.
Yep. And then of course they used the trope of and they did this in Scream too, like where they took the father, where everyone started believing it was the father, the adult. Yep. They thought it was the teacher, which was played by Robert Englund. If you don't know who he is, Freddy Krueger. And and then they played it all up like because he was the sole survivor of a massacre that happened there. Was it like 20 years ago?
Which may have been an urban legend on campus because they can't find any record of it. No one talks about it. But then the obviously creepy janitor who was on the receiving end of like 4 fucking stinger sounds where they throw the volume up to like 100.
Yep.
And he appears suddenly behind him like they're leaning real hard into making you be afraid of this dude. It ain't him. You know what I mean? But like he had a little info and helped them along the way to discovering a couple of things. But again, the history of the university had an urban legend. So that you're right. That was a good tie-in. That was kind of cool.
I think we've hit this one to death. I got a couple numbers for you though.
Shoot. I have nothing.
You know what the budget is for this?
No, I got no metadata.
Right.
Hit me with everything you got.
So it had a budget of $14 million, and it brought in 62.5 worldwide, or 72.5 worldwide.
Dude, respect again. We talk ROIs about horror movies all the time. Like even if it doesn't hold up 25 years later, this movie made bank and got its theatrical sequel. Because I saw Urban Legend Final Cut. I'm almost positive I saw that in theater a few years later. I don't think that was a straight to DVD.
So out of the scoring on Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 27% fresh.
Doesn't surprise me.
On the meta scale, which like they use video games where that's like out of 10, it a 4.4 out of 10.
Okay.
And then on the cinema score, which uses an A to F scale, has a C grade.
That's kind of a good little cross section dipping low, and I think that's probably where you and I both have it upon a rewatch. 25 years later, however long it's been. I think that's fair. I think if we're gonna really be critical, where this movie suffers more so than Scream, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, I think it's in the performances outside of Rebecca Gayheart. I mean, Josh Jackson, whatever his name is, he's okay, but nobody else is really memorable. Tara Reid's Tara Reid. The final girl was, you could have literally put any pretty girl in that role. She didn't bring anything unique or mind-blowing, I didn't think.
They had some callbacks to the actors in this as well. Like, there's a scene where they get into Dustin's car, who's played by Joshua Johnson, who's also known as Percy in Dawson's Creek. And the radio comes on and he hits it real quick, but the song that was playing is the theme to Dawson's Creek. And then at the end,
Paula Cole's song,
the end kind of links to the beginning where they're sitting around talking about an urban legend. And then they're like, that's not even fake. They're going to change it and stuff like that. And it's like, it might even be like, and pretty soon it's going to be the girl that's in the Not Zima commercial was the actual killer, which Rebecca Gayheart was the killer, and she's in the commercial. So it's kind of funny little meta in there.
It was.
We catch it.
It was little Easter eggs before we called them Easter eggs. Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that was Urban Legend, King Z. Initial thoughts on I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then we'll give the folks all the good stuff.
So I know what you did I Know What You Did Last Summer, that came out in 1997, the year after Scream. This one is a pretty much straight slasher film. That's exactly what it is. And the reason why I know that is because the person who wrote it, Kevin Williams, he wrote a little thing called Scream. And he says, and I get into what that part later, but he adapted this from a book called I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lewis Duncan. And he adapted it.
I didn't know that.
He took out the middle plot of what that book was and turned it into a straight slasher film. So that's how I know it's a slasher film. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 41 minutes. And the director pretty much didn't do anything that you ever heard of. He had a short film called Joyride, I See You with EYE. Yep. No, not the movie's Joyride. It's a short film. The movie Joyride is freaking awesome. I love the movie Joyride.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Candy cane. But the writer,
franchise action there too.
I actually wrote down on this one too. He wrote all the Scream movies. He wrote 171 of the episodes of Vampire Diaries. He wrote 45 episodes of The Following, which if you watch that was really good with Kevin Bacon, and they follow Edgar Allan Poe's cult type thing. And then he also wrote 128 episodes of Dawson's Creek, a tie back to Urban Legend.
The man's on the creek. Yep, there you go.
Overall, I thought the movie was all right for a slasher film. Once again, launching a bunch of young actresses and actors. Freddie Prinze Jr., Ryan Felipe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Very much.
Oh, and also
there's a couple other people in there too.
John Delatsky, who's better known on Big Bang Theory, and also
Leonard Hofstadter.
Yep, Leonard Hofstadter.
And as David on Roseanne.
Yep, he was David on Roseanne. And then there's Bridget Wilson Simpler, also known as Sonya in Mortal Kombat. Yep.
Or also the hot teacher from Billy Madison.
Want to touch the hiney?
That too.
More importantly.
Yep.
So hot, want to touch the hiney? Yeah, that chick. Veronica Vaughn, so hot, want to touch the hiney. Yeah, she was Sarah Michelle Gellar's older. Anne Heche also in the movie.
Yes, Anne Heche.
She was the lady in the court and the countryside. They went to visit the sister.
The sister of the person of the body they actually found.
Right. And this is why I'm glad we did the rewatch on this, because I remember back in the day being a little confused by the whole proceedings of the body they found and who had what name tattooed and all that good stuff. The short of it is, guys, and if King Z will give me a minute here just to do the synopsis real quick. We got kids on the cusp of graduation. They go out for one last party, sometime right after graduation. I think it's 4th of July. Actually, it's 4th of July.
Yep.
It's kind of a recurring theme through the movie. They're partying on the beach. They're drinking. They're getting their love time in and whatnot. And when it's time to go home, they accidentally sort of maybe hit a guy crossing the street, in the middle of the night, poorly lit, country coastal road kind of thing.
And there was a lot going on with them at that time while they're driving too.
Tons, right? So they have to make a pact then and there. We're going to dump the body. We were never here. I got, my BMW is all dented up. My dad's going to kill me. The cops aren't going to believe us. They had come up with all these reasons to make themselves feel like this is the right play. The lone stickler holdout is Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, the final girl. And she eventually relents to peer pressure because mostly Ryan Phillippe chokes her out in front of Freddie Prinze Jr. and Buffy, who don't do anything. Because that dude needs to do jail time. Like, if he actually had lived through the movie, somebody should have locked him up. So they dump the body. We get a time jump. And then the crux of the movie is, I know what you did last summer. I may or may not, the person they dumped may not be dead. Somebody might have seen what they did, may just be fucking with them. It could be a revenge tale. You don't really know. Where this movie is different than Urban Legend and Scream is they wrap in this other B plot about somebody else that may have been up on the mountain at the same time on the road. And the resolution is the person they hit with the car was actually up there committing an unrelated murder.
Yep.
And they basically have to pull it all back and they start trying to track down the identity of the body that was recovered, who, as it turns out, wasn't the body of the person that they dumped, because that guy didn't die.
Yeah, so
he actually survived his injuries.
And that's where what's her name comes in, because Anne Heche comes in, because she actually knew the name, because they said they found the body. It came up at a shrimp, and they learned the name of who they dumped.
Right.
Because they believed if they dumped the body in the water, a riptide will pull it out, and then the body may never be ever found. That's why they dumped it in the water like they did. They live in a fishing village in North Carolina, so they know tides and stuff like that.
And one of the characters is a fisherman. You know what I mean? Like several of the characters are fishermen. One of the main cast, the poor kid from the wrong side of the tracks that's trying to fit in with the rich kids, so to speak.
Yep.
So they do their various tie-ins where the group kind of collapses after the event. The Sarah Michelle Gellar character was like the Miss Amity pageant winner, from Jaws or whatever. She's got big dreams to go off to New York and be an actress. Freddie Prinze Jr. wanted to not be a fisherman because he didn't want to be blue collar forever, but he did. Ryan Phillippe's a dickhead. Nobody cares what he was going to do. He was going to go to Yale or something. I don't know. He was going somewhere far. He was going somewhere nice, somewhere out of my price range. So the year goes by, everybody comes back to town because everybody's all messed up. Nobody became what they wanted to be. Jennifer Love Hewitt's kind of on academic probation. She's about to fail out. She looks terrible. Her mother asks if she's on drugs. She looks so bad. These people are in a rough spot when Jennifer Love Hewitt gets the letter.
Yeah.
And of course the letter says, I know what you did last summer. And it's all off to the races from there, pretty much, with the shit that happens to him.
Yep.
That's the movie.
Roll credit.
This is pretty standard slasher fare, like you said. At the end of it, when it's all deciphered and figured out, it's the body the man they dumped after they hit him with the car is coming back to mess with them and then to put him down. What I didn't like about this 20 years later, and this is the benefit of age and wisdom and all that good shit, is that dude wasn't wrong. They left you for dead. This is a sympathetic killer to me. They left you for dead kind of twice. They let you sit on the road after they hit you, and then they tried to throw you in the water.
Well, and also he's recovering from a tragedy. That's why he was killing the original person, because he hit his daughter in a hit and run accident. So it's like a double trauma to him. Not only did you hit him in a hit and run, he lost his daughter in a hit and run, and that's why he was up there murdering a man.
Right. Who was already apparently really guilty about what he did because he was up on a mountain drinking. Wasn't that the thing? At the very beginning of the movie, the guy drinking on the mountain that had the medallion Like, that was the guy that killed his daughter. He was up there to kill him.
Yeah.
Right. So, so everybody in this movie that like made some mistakes got killed. And then these 4 dickhead teenagers that like dumped a body because they didn't want to tell the truth or call 911 and be like, this dude was driving. He wasn't drinking. Run the breathalyzer and the blood test. That will conclusively say it was an accident. Like, that's just how the world works. The kid whose BMW you're in, even if he's underage and drinking, he didn't do anything. Like, he wasn't driving the car. So it seems to me like it was, you guys could have just done the right thing and then nobody would have died. You wouldn't have got your sister killed. You wouldn't have got your friends killed. You wouldn't have got, you know, David from Roseanne killed. The poor cop. Like, Ben Willis kills like 9 people that aren't related to these assholes at all.
No.
And I'm kind of like, well, that's some fucked up shit.
Yeah,
that kind of sucks.
He just goes on a killing spree. I think he just likes the killing part.
Yeah, I think he got into liking it a little too much, because that dude just starts like fish hooking like dudes every which way. The David from Roseanne one, that uppercut shot with the hook to like the soft spot under the throat, best thing in the movie by far. I thought that was the best one. Yeah. Well, did you think was anything else? Because again, this movie's kind of weak in the middle.
You don't see Sarah Michelle Gellar, like it was just a quick wrap and she was gone. Same thing with her sister
and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend got it up on the balcony. You see some rapid fire shots, but it's shot up. You know what I mean? You can't see.
You can't actually see.
Like, it's not like Friday the 13th, right? You don't actually see the impact.
It's the Tara Reid kill all over again from Urban Legend.
Right. A lot of blood implied, but that's like the fish hook to the throat one stands out, because I'm like, oh, dude, and then he kind of pulls him across the table and shit. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first. I think that was the first one. Like that was pretty savage.
Yeah.
But I thought it set a good tone for that. What did you think of the mystery element of the movie as the gimmick here? Because we talked about the urban legend motif thing for urban legend. Did you think the revenge plot on top of the we have to keep the secret safe plot, was that good for you? Did that work?
Yeah, I think it fit well into the story, because you needed something for them to try to figure out instead of them just trying to survive.
Fact. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that elevates it beyond some of the later editions of Halloween and Friday the 13th, where it really just becomes nameless cardboard cutouts running through the woods and getting hacked up. Like, they all have a little bit of backstory. Right, they had some backstory here. They were given something to do, like uncover the identity. Like I said earlier, in this one, the group kind of frays a little bit, and Ryan Phillippe in particular, even though he's the hyper-violent, aggressive a-hole, he tries to finger Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character as, hey, dude, you're the one with the boat, the slicker, the know-how. Like, maybe it's you finally having snapped because the rest of us didn't do it. You know what I mean? We were all just in the car. You know what I mean? Like, it does come apart a little bit. When they meet up, he punches him.
Well, he also tried to put it on Max as well, because he was like, he was on the mountain, because when everything happened, they first moved the body.
That's right. He came up behind the truck.
And then he was making fun of Freddie Prinze Jr. of like, you almost seem rich enough. Like, you act rich enough.
See, and again, dude, what was it with people being a-holes? Like, they were unrelenting dickheads to this kid for no reason, right? And then he gets himself killed. And before that even happens, like when Freddie Prinze is coming up to him at the truck to get rid of him, he's like, hey, Max, what's going on? And this dude's like, fuck you, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's like...
And that's because he has his girl, because he was into Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Dude, still, dude, you never had a shot. It wasn't like she was an ex. It was a girl you liked. Get over it. You're out of high school now. I don't know. I hate you. Dude, that to me is the 90s cringe equivalent of the shit we rail about in like Star Trek right now, where like everybody just whines and cries all the time and is like way over the top dramatic. The 90s did that instead, where everybody was just I say it again, an unrelenting dickweed to even people they allegedly like, Like, no, dude, like fucking, dude, you're at like a 9, like back it down to like a 6. 6 is funny. 9 dickweed is not funny. 6 dickweed is funny. Yeah. It was wild. What did you think of the end sequence where everybody's in the same place? Sarah Michelle Gellar gets cut up in the alley, so I think she's the last victim that Ben Willis actually gets.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze, they kind of she converges on his boat, and this is where she realizes that the name belonging to the person they've been looking for is actually just the name of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s boat, the Billy Blue. And she's like, oh snap, it was you. Ah. So she makes a run for it, and then somehow Ben Willis just happens to be there to clothesline Freddie Prinze Jr. to hell and then get Jennifer Love Hewitt on a boat.
Yeah, which was his boat.
Walk me through your take of the exit.
The boat was called Sweet Sadie. It was after...
Sweet Susie, yep. The daughter that had the name tattooed.
Yep. And that's where you realize that it was someone else, because she's like, we're the ones who killed your... He's like, no, he drowned. And it was like, we saw his tattoo, and he's like, he doesn't have a tattoo.
Yep.
And that's
when they were talking to the sister, right?
Yeah, and that's when you realize they've been tracking the wrong person for doing this. Then you have the whole end sequence, which the end sequence actually is a callback to their discussion on the beach, where they're telling the scary urban legend ghost story of the hooked guy who had stayed at the insane asylum. And like they heard the scratches on the side of the car, and it was his hook. No, it was the boyfriend on top bleeding, which we saw in urban legend. And then it was like, no, but it was this. And then Freddie Prinze Jr. goes, well, all urban legends are folklore, and it has based in something that was true.
Right.
Cut to the end sequence. He gets pulled up in where the netting, the thing that drops the shrimp nets, he got caught up there, and he loses a hand. And he's been using a hook in that hand. So it kind of goes to the psychopath, which he definitely is, because he has a taste for killing. Because he's killing people who has nothing to do with what was set off on that hill or that mountain that day.
Oh, dude. He's 47 pounds of dog shit crazy in a 5-pound bag by the end of the movie, for sure. Like he's just, dude, by the end of this movie, this dude basically becomes Jason Voorhees. Like he's stalking people in public. It's nighttime, but it's like in a common area where there are people walking. He's just following Sarah Michelle Gellar, like on foot, stalking with the hook, hood up, mask up. And like, there's nobody could stop him. Like, there's just nothing to be done about it, until the rigging on the boat kind of, yanks the hand off.
Yeah. But the fisherman gets no love when it comes to when they talk about the slashers. The fisherman gets no love. He's never in it.
Nope. Dude, you're right. And when we talk about the iconic killers, I mean, does anybody rate Ghostface below the fisherman? Ben Willis? No. Never in the conversation. And now I feel a little bit bad about that now. I think I may start to talk about him, but this is why we're talking about the B teams, because under urban legend, I think never going to get any more recognition than it gets. But I think I know what you did last summer, I think holds up, because the mystery of it is interesting enough to watch them follow through, because they do follow a couple of leads that go wrong. Enough interesting stuff happens along the way. They don't instantly start getting bumped off when the plot takes over. Like at first, Ryan Phillippe's character gets run over by a car, but he survives. Yeah. Like it was just like a message that the killer was sending. So it's kind of like they all get F with. Sarah Michelle Gellar gets her hair cut up.
Yeah.
In her own home, like in her bed. So, I mean, there's elements of fucking with.
The most parodied scene ever in this movie, where she's spinning around.
Where are you?
What are you waiting for? With a low cut top on. And
what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Yep. The best parody of that is obviously Scary Movie, where then like the car hits her when she's doing it, which is fucking hysterical. And that we should talk about those parodies someday too, because I was instantly reminded in Urban Legend that like the chick singing off key to the song at the beginning while she's driving is parodied in the beginning of like, it's the very first scene of Scary Movie 2, where like she's driving around, it's Anna Faris, and she's just singing the graduation song, and the radio voice just cuts in. It's like, will you shut the fuck up? I'm trying to sing. It's hilarious. It's one of my favorites. It's pretty funny. But no, I know what you did last summer holds up overall. It's not as heavy on the contrivances at the end as Urban Legend was. Like that bullshit where David from Roseanne's body is in Jennifer Love Hewitt's trunk of the car, covered in ice and crabs. She runs a half a block away to get her friends, and when she comes back, it's all gone.
Yeah,
the trunk is clean, it's dry, there's no traces, and they try to use that as like the whole, they're all gonna think it was me and I'm crazy. And I'm like, where did you put a 180-pound kid in a fucking and 60 pounds of ice in 5 seconds with no traces on the ground? Like no drips, no lone crab that you didn't get away. Like, no, it's spotless. Like it was detailed. It was detailed clean in less than 5 minutes. Like, come on. That's not as bad as Urban Legends bullshit at the end, but this was starting to get stupid. And then just having Ben Willis was over here in town and killed Sarah Michelle Gellar and her sister and the cop. The wharf with the boats are like way over here, and somehow he gets to the boat and he's hiding on the corner just waiting for Freddie Prinze Jr. to walk by so he can stiff arm him one. And I'm like, come on, guys.
And don't forget, he had time to get her into the boat, into the ice room of the boat.
And all three bodies in the storage compartment in the boat on ice, to keep the smell down. And I'm like, so when did you do all that? Because you've been pretty fucking active here in the last 4 hours. I don't like that shit. It's unnecessary. It doesn't work. And it's honestly what held both of these movies, I think, down from being on Scream's level. Scream went through its entire plot and really didn't leave me, because we just rewatched this. Yep. It didn't leave me an opportunity to be like, well, wait a minute, they couldn't have done this. I mean, it had the benefit of there being 2 of them, I guess, but they were still at least smart enough to plot. One of them was here, so that left one of them to be open. We were never in a spot where we saw both of them in the same place at the same time while the murders happened. Like, they didn't mess with their continuity.
Yeah.
Both of these movies take way too much, I think. They take way too much flex space. Liberty flex, whatever. Like they just take the day off. They get lazy. Let's just say that. Yeah. Like, they get lazy and they really just try to rely on the shock and the the jump scares. Urban Legend was the worst of the 2. Like, there were like 7 times where they just threw the volume at like 100 and made that stupid like violin high screeching sound to scare you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's just the janitor. It doesn't work. Urban Legend had a couple and they were strategically placed so it didn't bug me, but Urban Legend was awful. That's how you know you're getting lazy. Like, that's not, it's scary for 12-year-old girls at the theater, I guess, but like, it's not scary for most other people, male or female. Like, you don't need to go that hard on that. But dude, give me some wrap up thoughts on I Know What You Did Last Summer. What do you think? If you got numbers, we'll take them. Let's.
All right, we got the numbers. Of course, I got the numbers. I'm the number guy. I'm the number guy.
Number guy.
All right, so it had a budget of $17 million as well. Oh no, it was $3 million more than the other one because of the actors.
It was ballpark. Yeah, ballpark. Mm-hmm.
Brought in $125.3 million.
Boom, dude. Because it was a year later. It's if you put them next to each other on separate screens, they look like they're interchangeable. People wanted more of this. Like you said, the genre was on an uptick.
Well, I mean,
oh, dude, I believe that 100%. Video sales must have been out the ass for this movie and rentals and everything.
It's one of the stories in there too, because you know who was originally supposed to play Julie?
Oh no, who?
Melissa Joan Hart.
Oh, Sabrina, Teenage Witch.
She was originally supposed to play Julie. And
I can see that.
And Jennifer Love Hewitt was supposed to be Helen.
Yep. Who was Buffy? Who was Sarah Michelle Gellar? Okay.
But she turned it down.
That movie would have worked equally as well.
She turned it down. Joan Hart turned it down because it said it was a direct ripoff of Scream.
Is to you this movie a direct ripoff? Like, because it's got a serial killer and teens? Like, it tells its own story. It's not wannabe kids with like the movie show. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's a direct ripoff, even though the writer himself said there are similarities to Scream, but this one has a moral base and it's a more superior script than Scream.
All right, so let's split that hair then. The moral base is there because these jackass kids, like I said, when I watch this now as a grown-up and not like a 20-something a-hole, these kids all deserved everything they got. Like, it's too bad that he didn't get all 4 of them, honestly. Like, not one of these 4 kids did the right thing in a year. Like, that's sad.
Yeah.
And that's probably larger commentary on the, on the state of society.
And that's why he said
superior script.
That's why he said it's a superior story, is because of the moral base of the story. Even though Homeboy just becomes a straight killer.
Well, dude, that becomes the urban legend. I mean, that's, like you said, that's the folklore there. It's you do the right thing or something awful is going to come and get you and for revenge, So you weren't saying specifically that the script was better, is that the theme that goes into the script was, oh, dude, 100% agree. 100% agree. But I definitely don't think it's a Scream ripoff. I mean, that would be like saying, I Know What You Did Last Summer is different enough from Scream that I wouldn't say it, while at the same time I would acknowledge that Friday the 13th to an extent is a ripoff of Halloween.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just a masked dude with a knife stalking teens with very little for them to do except try to survive.
And the audience agrees with you. 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. 5.4 out of 10 on the Metascore scale, and then on CineScores it hits a B-.
Yeah, see, again, that's bell curve trending up. That's upper side of the bell curve instead of like the dip that I think we give Urban Legends. But yeah, like I said, it's funny enough, both of these movies have increasingly poor sequels. The I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel was okay-ish. I don't know if you ever saw that back in the day. They had Brandy. You remember the singer Brandy?
Yeah, Brandy and Discount Omar Epps.
Oh yeah, was that on Mekhi Phifer?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yep, I watched like the first 10 minutes last night. I was half falling asleep and I thought I saw that.
And then of course Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt returned.
And again, but they're so odd together. I think it might have been better given that Sarah Michelle Gellar married Freddie Prinze Jr.
Which
maybe their roles should have. That's what I mean. Like maybe their roles, like they should have flipped Julie and Helen. Because I think the chemistry just worked better. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar has chemistry with anybody. At the beginning of that movie, she had plenty of chemistry with Ryan Phillippe, who was the biggest douche nozzle in a 90s horror movie going forward. I mean, that's just because she's gorgeous, but that's neither here nor there. Dude, any closing thoughts on either of these movies? Because I think we banged out what we want. I think we're kind of in agreement. I Know What You Did Last Summer is the superior B team member here. We probably got to bump Urban Legend down to the C team, or maybe just kick them out the gym altogether. What do you think?
If you've never seen it, watch it. If you've already seen it, don't need to rewatch it.
Urban Legend, right?
Yeah, Urban Legend.
Or both of these. Are we going? We're going for both.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. If you haven't watched it, I would definitely say watch it. If you want to rewatch it, maybe every 3 years in case you forget something. But it's not really like I said. The Fisherman isn't one of the big killers. He's not Jason. Yeah. He's not Michael Myers. He's not Freddy, and he's not Ghostface.
Yeah, it's true. He's never on a t-shirt. I got like 4 horror t-shirts I just picked up. He's not on any of them.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like, you're right. He's never picked up. Dude, I'll disagree a little bit. I think Urban Legend, if you, like you said, if you're curious and you think the idea is kind of nifty with the urban legends being like the methods of, teens getting got, check it out. You never need to watch it again. We only rewatched it because we didn't remember it after we had rosy glasses on for what we thought we remembered. And then we watched it like, nah. Dude, I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm glad I rewatched it so I could have a different framework, being older, like I said, and just kind of, dude, I hate the main characters in the movie. Like I rewatched it. My opinion of it has changed on a who I root for level. It's technically superior to Urban Legend, but I don't need to see this. This isn't on if it's on TNT, I would pick, like we were talking the other day, like I'll pick up a movie and watch a certain thing from a point. I don't need to see this again. Every 3 years, there's other horror movies we can watch. I'd rather watch something newish, like the No One Can Save You movie we just watched, which incidentally will be on the channel Monday, folks. Review up on Monday. It is all done and in the can. But yeah, dude, this one I wouldn't recommend a multiple rewatch situation for me. Yeah, dude, but I think that's gonna do us up. Any final words, dude, before we bounce?
Yeah, you hit it with the thing with the like as you got older, rewatching what I know you looked at it a little bit different. It goes perfect. Is like when you're a kid, you root for Batman, but when you're an adult, the Joker makes some good points.